thing I say about the spiritual side, because some may have questions, and there's a lot of questions out there. And it's interesting, people are scared to ask questions, and that's why they may look at me a certain kind of way, because I'm not afraid to ask questions. And only only when you ask questions when you find out. So don't be afraid to ask questions. And I'm not going to publish any questions that anybody asks or anything, but I think there is value in just showing the simplicity of it. So I try to show the simplicity in the spiritual path. And basically, I don't believe in anything outside of myself. I look for the proof of the divinity within and sought to strengthen that versus any doctrine or any belief system from any outside source that I can't prove myself. So I sought to prove this to myself, and I went on that journey, and it is work, and it is painful because I'll tell you that in the next one. But yeah, I sought to do that work myself, and I also shared it with the world, and just as a regular guy, not as anyone special. And then during that journey, I saw a lot of things of suppression, how this wasn't mainstream, because once I realized it was true, it was like, well, why isn't this talked about in the news? Like, if this is the real deal, and I'm experiencing myself, and I'm not going to lie to myself, then why isn't this the first thing that's talked about? Why isn't this common knowledge? Why isn't our society built on that? And then when you start digging into those pieces, then you see a lot of the things that are going on, and it leads us to a lockdown with the coronavirus. And some of y'all can see the play happening, and we've talked about that, and I've talked about that. They publish the playbook before they do it. That's part of their belief system. But I have no belief systems that I follow other than knowing that there's divinity within us all. So this is just laying all of that out. There's multiple layers to it and multiple levels to it. But the spiritual path is finding the divinity within you and not worshiping anybody else. We are all made in the image of God. We're all in the image of God. So when our self-image is not accurate or off, or altered or diminished by a belief system, by someone making you think you're flawed, or you need to do X, Y, Z to get God's love, when within you is all the love you need, because within you is God. So once you realize that, you stop looking externally for validation, you stop looking externally for happiness, you stop looking externally for anything, because it's really generated from within. You become your own power source versus needing to get something from other people. Now, we're dealing with a force, I'll call it, that is a power source that's draining humanity. And it sounds like a science fiction movie, I know, it's crazy. And we can talk about it. That's the funny thing, we can discuss this. There's a lot of things that sound like science fiction that are actually true that we can discuss. And it's not my word, it's not conspiracy theory. This is fact, this is things you can prove up and look. I'm a scientist, so I had to look for the proof myself. And I'm not saying take my word for anything, I'm saying do your own research. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna show the research, we're gonna lay it out. But it starts with the question. Right? It's just not saying, it's easy to just dismiss someone and say, oh, he's crazy. Okay, yeah, okay, but why? Where? How am I crazy? Show me. This is the evidence I have for I'm not being crazy. You just say I'm crazy. What's your evidence? What's your proof? If you're just going to say what you saw on the news or what you read in the book, okay, that's one perspective. What are the other perspectives? Let's weigh all the evidence. If you're really going to argue something, you got to know the for and against of an argument, right? So we're going to show that. We're going to see that. That's going to be publicized, and we're going to make it fun. We're going to use comedy and all of this stuff. So it's going to be a wild ride, and I'm going to be riding in it as well, and I'm just giving you the bird's eye view as I'm riding this thing as well, because we're all in the same boat, and no character is greater than the other, and we're all playing characters. So I'm just going to play my character. Alrighty, I already went too long trying to keep these short and sweet, but just wanted to kind of expound on that because some of y'all may be hearing this for the first time. But I give you one example that will wrap up spirituality, right? So if you could think about a record player, imagine most people don't even know there's other aspects of themselves. So imagine a record player and all you hear is just the record player being played without it being amplified. It'll sound like this. So some people are just used to that level of awareness, if you will. So the spiritual growth, the spiritual connection, the divinity within you is like listening to that same record, listening to that same reality like this. This is with spirituality. So when I'm talking about my experiences, I'm talking about firsthand. And again, I'm nobody special. I mean, y'all know this. I'm nobody special. I never claimed to be. But I have experienced some pretty crazy stuff. And it's all science. Spirituality is all science. We just don't limit where we look at for the truth. The scientist doesn't even know who's asking the questions. You might want to start there, and that will change everything in how you look at yourself and look at the world, because you really do see the connections between us all. And we're building those bridges now. That's what you're seeing with this public display of creativity. So I'm just going to be commenting on it. If you don't like this stuff, that's fine. If you want to unfollow it, that's fine. You're basically going to be seeing like a real life Neo doing their Matrix reprogramming live in front of everybody with the data and everything in the background to prove like it's really going on. And it's crazy that some people will just dismiss it, but when you start looking at it, it's the real deal. And you're going to be able to see that line and that divide, because you're going to see people have conversations that are on this side of the matrix, and the BMP is in the middle, which is entertainment. But then the people on this side of the matrix are going to be like, wait a minute, those guys aren't crazy. That makes a lot of sense. And look at and eventually they go to that side. And that's phase 2. All right, y'all. Just look out for a little more polished episode. Again, it's just the behind the scenes thing. But time to go.